Hello, and welcome to the MSU Horticulture Garden virtual tour. We are super excited that we were able to throw this together quickly for our inquiring guests, and we hope that it's super helpful. We'll start off our tour in the North Garden. The North Garden is for ceremonies and receptions for about 150 people. It includes our lower lawn, our annual garden for smaller ceremonies, our Conservatory Plaza, which is an outdoor space typically used for cocktail hour, reception, and then we also have the Conservatory, which is used for reception as well. It is an indoor space. It can be used for ceremonies and other events. But typically for weddings, we do the ceremonies outside and eat in the conservatory. We're going to use lots of maps today for our virtual tour. And for right now, I'm going to use one to orient you as to where we are on campus. We are behind the Wharton Center, the Facility for Rare Isotope Beams, and the Biomedical Sciences building, right there on the other side of Wilson Road. If you visited our children's gardens before, you may have taken the Bow Street entrance back there. Your guests, however, for your wedding or event will be parking off of Wilson Road in that parking lot over there to the west of our gardens. If you can see, our gardens are mapped out. That's map 1. That gives you a bit of a frame of reference for where our North Garden is. All of that area there is the North Garden. Now, we've zoomed in a bit on the North Garden to let you know kind of where I'm going to be taking you today in the North Garden. This yellow star here represents where we're going to start. That is the entrance from the parking lot that your guests will be parking in, and it's also where you and your betrothed will be standing in the lower lawn as you wed, if that's where you choose to do that. We'll go from the lower lawn to the Conservatory Plaza. That's typically where we hold lots of cocktail hour receptions and the rest of the evening. We'll head right over north to the Second Garden Fountain. Sometimes we can hold smaller ceremonies there. There's a trellis there that we like to put a bar under. The Sunseed Plaza over to the east is also a smaller ceremony spot, as well as the Bailey statue. Not typically very popular, but a cool thing. But all of your guests do have access to all of this garden space for your wedding or event. And then after we've seen the Bailey statue, we'll kind of backtrack and go over to the conservatory, into the head house, and all of the back house space like that. And back to where we're going to start here. I'm just orienting you as to where we are actually going to start after I give you a bit of a roadmap of what you're going to see today. We are starting right there at the ceremony site in the lower lawn, and we're going to head to the Conservatory Plaza after that. So here we are. You've parked in the free parking lot on Saturday for a wedding or event, and you're standing under this pergola here. That is orange trumpet vine that is growing up there. It blooms a little later in the summer, but it's nice and green in May. You're looking out at the lower lawn, and right in front of you, we do have a backdrop you can put up. And to our left and our right, there are sidewalk entrances to this lower lawn as well for your guests. Showing you a little bit different of a point of view, looking in the opposite direction, so looking at where we were just standing. This couple chose to craft a door to hide the bride and her father, to reveal her for her processional. We'll open those doors up here in just a moment. And voila, the doors are open. And this is such a heart-wrenching, beautiful, beautiful scene. I love to see what a great job I have. So yes, right behind the groom standing there at the altar, under that pergola we were just standing under, as you can see, the vine hasn't necessarily gone green yet. It's a bit of an early wedding here. But behind him, you can see those green and white streamers. They chose not to use our ivory backdrop. Behind there, you can see some cars from the parking lot with their streamers, and with the super awesome, beautiful moment that they're having, obviously, they didn't really mind. But if you do mind, we do have an ivory backdrop that I'll show you in a moment. And there it is, our ivory backdrop. There are some hanging baskets there on those pillars. Sometimes we do hanging baskets. Sometimes our gardeners like to choose to do some potted plants around the bottom of those pillars. It really just depends on the year. Either way, it is beautiful. We can't guarantee you what flowers exactly are going to be in the gardens, but you will always be pleasantly surprised. Over here to the right, I'm showing you a map of kind of here we are. This black star there shows us looking at that backdrop from kind of the middle of the aisle. Those chairs you're seeing, those are our white contour chairs. Those are our basic chair option. We have lots more to choose from, and we can show you those a bit later on. And here we have moved back to under the altar, staring at the lower lawn. Those are our white padded chairs, a little bit of an upgrade there. They're very beautiful. Pardon this picture, it's a little off center, but we're looking down the aisle at the 40-foot octagon tent in the plaza there, right in front of the conservatory. To hide the bride, we normally push her over to the left or the right a little bit, and she is completely hidden behind those bushes there in the plaza as we load out for processional. For chairs, a lot of people do ask us the question, do people double book chairs or do they move them on the day of? Meaning you have chairs that will seat your guests for your ceremony as well as your reception for dinner in the conservatory. It really just depends. We do only have one on-site coordinator on site for you to help, and we do have carts, but we will need you to recruit a team on your own to help move those chairs if you choose to only book one set of chairs for your guests. Electricity, we do run electricity out to the lower lawn from the conservatory. The cord is nice and concealed, no worries. And we have tents and things that you can rent for your musicians or your DJ to put back there behind your guests or over to the side. Lots of room. The flowers change every year, so we're not ever really certain as to what exact flowers will be planted in the beds in our gardens, but you will rest assured that you'll be pleasantly surprised every year. When it comes to decorating out here in the lower lawn, the sky really is the limit. All we ask you to do is to avoid fake flower petals, as the dyes and the petals themselves are not good for our gardens, and we find them all over the place. Rice, candied almonds, things like that are not permitted. However, bubbles, real flower petals, and birdseed may be thrown if there is an aisle runner and if we can clean that up afterward. Now that we've seen the lower lawn ceremony site, we're going to head up to the Conservatory Plaza where you see that yellow star and check some things out. Here is a beautiful, beautiful photo of a couple in our plaza untented by the 40-foot octagon tent. The plaza is right in front of the conservatory, so guests can head on in and easily head on out. We'll throw the tent back in there because typically people do rent the 40-foot octagon tent. For some coverage, we do have tent sides, cathedral sides, plain sides. We also have pole covers. It's basically drapery that goes over the poles and ties around just to hide the metal if you're not into it. This is a great place, like I said earlier, for cocktail hour, appetizer, and post-dinner activities. We really like to invite people to get out of the conservatory and enjoy being in the gardens and looking at the flowers. From the plaza, we're going to head north to our annual trial gardens. There is lots to see over here, and it is all yours. As we stand in the plaza and look to the north, you'll see a little trellis there, a fountain, you'll see a tent over there to the right, and some chairs set up. For people with about 50 people, a little bit over that if you're pushing it, we can do a smaller ceremony in front of that trellis and fountain, and over to the right, that tent is for some musicians. There are lots of places in our gardens to do smaller ceremonies, and this is one of the other popular smaller ceremony sites. We're going to keep heading north and head under that trellis to see the fountain and what's behind it. This is a gorgeous photo that we just love to throw all over the place. A couple under that trellis at night. Obviously, they did some backlighting there. And this is before that trellis had a bunch of vines growing on it. But this is a great photo opportunity. We also really love to throw a 6-foot bar in front of here. It creates a bit of shade for your bartenders if you're not looking to cover them with a tent. And it's kind of a focal point so people know where that bar is just to the north of that octagon tent. As we get closer to this fountain, we just wanted to show you there's a half moon pergola just north, if you can see over there by the building. Another great spot for a smaller ceremony if you're interested. But here is the fountain. People love to sit on these ledges here. I did have a couple that the mother of the bride made cushions for these ledges and put them around the plaza and spotted a few throughout the gardens where these ledges were. It was absolutely gorgeous, but this great roaming atmosphere out here for your guests to enjoy, as well as picture opportunities for you. You'll see another small ceremony or elopement setup here facing the trellis rather than the fountain. And we're going to just head east further into the annual trial gardens to show you a bit more of what's going on over here. To remind you a bit of where we were in the lower lawn there, hit the Conservatory Plaza, over to the Sunken Garden Fountain, and now we're heading east to the Sunseed Plaza. You'll see that yellow star there, and we're going to go over to see the reflecting pool, the Bailey statue, and head back to where we came from. Here you'll see another smaller ceremony setup in the Sunseed Plaza. Beautiful artwork back there. You can face there or you can face behind you where the fountain is. The world is your oyster. And we're going to go ahead and continue east. As we head east toward the reflecting pool, that's what's right in front of us here on the ground, we're going to look behind us, and there you see the statue and the fountain behind it. And if we turn around, we'll see our beautiful statue on the other end of the annual trial gardens. Just to remind you of where we are, that black star shows the Bailey statue, and here in a moment I'll let you know what he's up to. And here is our Bailey statue. Currently, in real time, he is wearing a face mask, just like the rest of us. If you see over to the north there on the left side of your screen, you'll see an entrance to the Plant and Soil Sciences building atrium. And then to the right, kind of behind us, is the entrance to the Plant and Soil Sciences building, closer to the head house, closer to the classrooms that you will actually be using as your bridal suites, as we like to call them. There's also restrooms inside there. Sometimes guests find this door. A lot of times we do encourage you to put a sign pointing towards this door, as it's not necessarily a focal point. And this is a photo taken from upstairs. This is overviewing the annual trial garden. You'll see in the middle there is a reflecting pool. The star on the far left of your screen is the Bailey statue. And heading over to the star at the Sunseed Plaza, back to the fountain, the lower lawn, the plaza, and the conservatory. And now standing in front of the fountain, facing out toward the lower lawn behind those bushes, you'll see the tent to the left in the Conservatory Plaza, and to the right, that's a sidewalk that goes out to your guest parking lot. And over here on these sidewalks, we do like to remind our clients and guests and couples that you should totally, absolutely bring your lawn games. This is a Midwest classic example of cornhole. Many couples have crafted their own boards and brought them, or have been gifted a set or two, and there's no time like your wedding day to christen the new family boards. And turning back to face our plaza and conservatory, if you can see under that tent there, they chose some uplighting. It's a little different than our typical perimeter and canopy lighting that we use in there. But if you look towards the vestibule, that's a great area for maybe a hand sanitizer station, a beverage station, a welcome sign, a timeline sign, some potted plants. If you're looking to decorate that space, if you're not, easy peasy. It is gorgeous and industrially cool the way that it is. Not a great place for seating cards as they kind of blow in the wind out there, but there is a foyer for those kinds of opportunities inside. Well, let's head over there. And again, I want to keep you oriented as to where you are. That black star right there shows you that we're heading into the conservatory under that vestibule to see the magic inside. Standing under that vestibule, if we look to the left, we came in from the north, from the right. If we look to the left, you will see that vestibule under there. They use some appetizers in that vestibule there. And to the left is actually toward our south garden. You'll see that this couple chose to use our typical perimeter and canopy lighting there. I'll give you a little sneak peek as to what that looks like. Here we have the canopy and perimeter lighting. The canopy is obviously the lights that go up to the top, and the perimeter are the lights that go around. This tent and the lighting come as a package. It's typically about $1,200. Most people do just go ahead and grab it. It is the greatest use of the space out in the Conservatory Plaza. And we're going to go ahead and look left a little bit. There's still a bit more of the garden outside that I'd like to show you. Now we're standing under the arbor here to the south part of the north garden. Behind us is the south garden ceremony site that I'll show you a bit later on. But from here, obviously, you can see the Conservatory Plaza tented over there. But under this arbor area, we like to throw a cocktail round in here. People will typically sign their marriage license under here. It is absolutely gorgeous photos. And to the right, there is a wall of the food toxicology building that is covered in this leafy vine. And in the fall, it turns bright orange and bright red. It is absolutely gorgeous. And if we just turn around while standing by this arbor, you can see the entrance to the south garden. There's a circle right there that kind of signifies the division between the north and south gardens. And we go back through the vestibule, through the foyer, and enter the conservatory. Currently, you'll see that the shades are closed. And you might notice our perimeter lighting around the building, our 4 spotlights up there, and our auxiliary fans. We can turn those on and off manually, and we also have some automatic cooling systems that are programmed into the space. These chairs, these golden chairs here, are not ours, but we do like to note that if we don't have a chair that you have fallen in love with, we want to let you know that you are more than welcome to go and find an exterior vendor that offers you the chairs that you would prefer in terms of style. Now that we've gone through the vestibule and foyer, I do want to let you know that that is a great place for a gift table, for seating charts, etc., etc. And there are great photos on our Facebook page, specifically by Ali Ciarto Photography. From Adrian and Mitch's wedding, there's an album in our Facebook page, and I highly encourage you to go and check those out for reference, as I don't have any pictures that I could show you right now under our licensing, under the circumstances. Definitely go ahead and check that out. Here, we've emptied the conservatory, and there's just a photo of a young couple. The shades are still closed. I do open those up for you. You can see over to the left, that is the foyer, and you'll see the trees and ferns that line the conservatory. Those are always there. The conservatory is their home, and all year round we keep the conservatory heated and cooled in a condition as to where they can survive. We can't move those plants for you. They are there, and they decorate the space perfectly. It's especially perfect for the couple that is looking to do as least decoration and crafting as possible. It's just there and beautiful. There are outlets on both sides of that door to the left of us, and there's also an outlet on the opposite side of the room and throughout the space. There are two side rooms that are on both sides of that entrance there to the left. The one on the south side, to our most left, is the one that we allow our guests to use either as storage space or bar room or a chill room. Some people have literally brought in couches and rugs and tapestry, which is super cool, but it is yours to use. Here we just wanted to show you the conservatory set for a ceremony. Again, we can fit about 150 to 200 in here seated for a ceremony. For a reception, we only like to seat about 150 people. When you go beyond that, it gets a bit snug for dinner. And here is a picture from a back corner of the room. To our direct left is that side room I was telling you about, as well as the foyer after that. You can see that the shades are open. Maybe you can see those black auxiliary fans attached to the ceiling a little better. I also want to let you know that we do have coat racks available that you can put in that side room as well if it's that time of year, but there is that option. Here's a photo of some rounds with our mahogany shibari chairs. We're staring directly at the foyer and exterior vestibule that leads to the Conservatory Plaza. Right behind us is the hallway that we like to use for a multitude of reasons. Now that you've seen quite a few photos of the conservatory dressed with round tables, we want to let you know that rectangle long tables are also possible. Depending on how many people you have, what kind of vibe you want to set, what your vision looks like, we do like to let you know that you can do rounds, pods, long tables, and we do work with you to make sure that your vision translates into that room and we can kind of map it out for you on paper based on what we can fit. This is a bit of an older picture, but again, we're working with what we've got. As you can see, those trees and ferns are not as lush as they are today, but that is the dance floor. Those pieces are in 4x4 sections. There is a far better portfolio of pictures on our Facebook page. It is under the Marcy and Trevor album. They did a beautiful choreographed dance on a dance floor out in the plaza under a tent, and it turned out absolutely gorgeous. Whether you do a dance floor inside the conservatory or outside, it's a great inviting place for all of the dancing and other festivities to be done. Here you can see a traditional Chinese dance going on. It was super, super fun. When it comes to putting a dance floor in the conservatory, remember it does take up a bit of space, so doing the dancing and other fun things like that inside the conservatory is much more appropriate for people with smaller guest numbers, like 120 or fewer. And of course, you have the option, like my family typically chooses from down south, absolutely no dance floor and just using the good old ground. We do have a very smooth surface in the conservatory for dancing, as well as out in the plaza. So if you choose not to rent the dance floor pieces, you're good to go. And typically, most people choose to use this event. Here on the north side of the room, you can see a nice long head table. We can fit lots of people on the north wall as there are no doors in the way. It's kind of all lush greenery behind you. It's a great focal point for the room. Should you choose not to do a head table, you can choose a sweetheart table. There's lots of space and lots of ways to set the room differently based on what your vision is. This couple here chose to do their head table in front of the hallway. This is a picture facing that foyer and vestibule out there. To the left, you'll see that door right there, that sliding door. That's to that side room I was telling you about. You'll see that these are hardwood farm tables. These are something that we do not have available through our vendor partners, so you can go ahead and seek those out on your own from a different vendor if you are so inclined. We're going to go ahead and turn around and face that hallway I was telling you about. This hallway doesn't always have those hanging baskets hanging up there, but most of the time in the beginning of the year we're prepping for our plant sale, and they just dazzle up the space for you if you get lucky. Those ledges there are also great opportunities to put some votives. And on that note, we do allow candles as long as they are not open flames. So as long as you put them in a votive, or even if they're flameless candles, you are good to go. You can see that this is a buffet. Typically people do buffets at our venue. You can do a served dinner, and your catering staff normally just lines their hot boxes over here on this wall. This is a single-sided buffet. There is plenty of space to do a double-sided buffet down this hallway as well, and lots of room for a single-sided served buffet, meaning that you have staff serving the food that is being presented on the buffet. We just wanted to throw this picture in there to show you how much space there is in that hallway, width-wise. So yes, lots of space for some cool photos. It's a great industrial space. This place is awesome. The sky is the limit in terms of how you can decorate the space, but it's also a great space to where you can do the bare minimum and it is still going to look fantastic. And a lot of your guests many times will never have seen anything like it. Just before your buffet line starts, it's a cool idea to put up some photos while people wait to get in line for their food. Some displays like this are super, super common in our hallway as well as all over the venue. And we're going to go ahead and follow that arrow to the back of the house. We call it the head house. There you will find the restrooms, our walk-in cooler, and our classrooms that we like to give our couples kind of as ready rooms, places to keep your phones, purses, yada, yada, yada. There is a little bit of a ramp there at the end of the hallway, handicap accessible. If you do need any wheelchairs, we do have 2 available. When it comes to lighting in this hallway, you can see that the sky is kind of the lighting right now, but those little black boxes attached to the cement walls there shine down on the ground when it gets dark outside. You can add more lighting to this space if you want to. You can hang things from the ceiling. You can put, like I said earlier, votives on those ledges. Like I said, the sky is the limit, but the floor lighting tends to do a perfectly fine job as to lighting the space. You'll also notice the light coming in behind that wall, those windows there. Those are real side greenhouses. They are locked, so guests are not permitted to go inside of them, but it's cool to take a peek. Many a times you'll see those heat lamps and other horticulture lamps. Sometimes they are purple, sometimes they're yellow lighting like that, but it shines through and it is just the coolest thing. And we're going to glance back at this map here to remind you of where you are. The non-black star, so the outline of that star there, that shows you that we were in the conservatory, and we're going to follow that arrow to the end of the hallway into the head house where our workspace is, as well as the restrooms, classrooms, and walk-in cooler. And now we're standing directly in our head house. If you see that blue line on the floor, that reflects the blue line on the map we were looking at earlier as well. This is workspace for your caterers and other vendors. This is also our workspace. We do clean it up nice and pretty for you, just like the rest of our spaces for your events. But right now, this is a very current picture. This was actually taken a week or 2 ago of our head house being used as our garden staff is hard at work catching up from the restrictions that we have faced regarding COVID-19. To the left, you might see those little green carts with their little black wheels there. Those are some of our carts that we like to use. We have tons of them. You can use them for load in, for load out, and even if you're going to move chairs, we can use them for moving chairs. That door at the opposite end of the room is facing the entrance to the children's garden. So that entrance that you might use to go to the children's garden off of Bogue Street, that door points directly at it. That's a great door for vendors to use as well as yourselves to use when you're getting in here on the day of if you don't want to come in through the opposite way. Just depends on your logistics. We'll go ahead and turn around and face the opposite direction here for a moment. And as we face this way, you'll see those double doors. Those are normally propped open, and we have two signs that kind of lead people. But that blue line on the ground that I was talking about earlier that reflects itself on the map as well, you follow it to the restrooms just to the right after those double doors. Like I said, we do have some signs that are nice and cute that we chalk up to let your guests know where the restrooms are. If you don't like them, you're more than welcome to bring in your own. To the left, not pictured, where it says Conservatory with an arrow, there's a classroom and then a big door to our walk-in cooler. It is a very large cooler that was designed as a floral cooler, so you can use it for your floral pieces as well as your cakes, any food, beverages that you'd like to bring in on the night before. It is yours to use, although we do not have a photo of it at this time. The restrooms, same thing. We don't necessarily have a photo at those, but if you've seen an MSU restroom before, you've seen them all. It's a typical two-stall restroom. There are two of those. One has urinals, one does not. And that is the North Garden. Just to give you a little recap of where we've been, if you start over on the left by the parking lot and the lower lawn, we went up to the Conservatory Plaza. We went over to the Sunken Garden Fountain, Sunseed Plaza, Reflecting Pool, over to the Bailey statue. We looked over that space, and then we returned to the Conservatory Plaza looking north and then south and headed into the conservatory. We checked out the beautiful conservatory and headed east to where the classrooms, the head house, the line to the restroom is, as well as your super handy walk-in cooler. And that about wraps up our tour of the North Garden. This is a beautiful nighttime shade open view of our conservatory as we talk a little bit of shop. I highly encourage you to check out our Facebook page photos and photo albums that our excellent photographers that have been in and out of our venue have allowed us to share on that platform. We also have a lot of great vendors that we know of and that we're friends with in the area that we can point you toward. Feel free to ask us for our recommended vendor list. Speaking of vendors, when it comes to food, we only ask that it will be catered by a licensed caterer. We're a little bit unique at the MSU Horticulture Gardens as we don't require you to book through Kellogg Catering. I totally recommend that you check them out, but if they don't fit your vision, feel free to bring anyone in. Alcohol, you can serve that as long as it's served by a licensed bartender and that the bar is hosted only. Please no cash bars as we don't hold a liquor license on premise. In the North Garden, we do have an 8-hour booking minimum. It is such a big space, and 8 hours technically does the trick for a ceremony and reception. Typically, the sweet spot tends to be in 10 to 12 hours, from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. most of the time, 2 p.m. to 12 a.m. And I say 12 a.m. as that is our closing time. Last call, we really like to throw last call in at about 10 or 10:30. 11 o'clock end time, and it gives you a nice hour to clean up and pack all of your things into your car, and you're done with us forever. We do only do Saturday bookings in the North Garden for weddings, but events, we do host those through the week, and we do away with the 8-hour booking minimum for smaller events. For weddings, we do have a booking minimum of 8 hours on Saturdays. We only do one wedding in the North Garden per Saturday, so there's no bumping into each other there. Public guests will be in the gardens sometimes. Technically, the gardens are public always. We've never had an issue with wedding crashers, and our on-site coordinator always keeps their eyes out for people that might be a little mysterious, lingering too long. We've never run into it. People are normally very courteous. But that concludes our tour for the general North Garden bookings. We do recognize that it does get cold and the holidays do come around, thankfully. We love them. And we do have this giant poinsettia tree that goes up for the Christmas part of the year. This poinsettia tree normally goes up after the first week of December. And it goes up just to the right, to the north of the foyer doors. It's a great piece for your holiday party, for a Christmas themed wedding in there, and it is kind of a crowning jewel for us in the holiday season. With that being said, this poinsettia tree is huge and it does stay there until the first of the year. So, if you're looking for a Christmas wedding, we're your guys. If you're looking for a holiday party, we're also your guy. We also want to remind you that yes, it is cold outside, but our trees have to live too, and so do we comfortably in the conservatory. So our conservatory is heated in the winter, so it's kind of nice. You're inside the outside, but you're nice and cozy and warm, even with the snow falling above. And now that we've been through the beautiful and expansive North Garden, I want to show you our South Garden ceremony spot. South Garden is for ceremonies only, and we have multiple spots where you can do some smaller ceremonies throughout the South Garden, but this right here in Anniversary Plaza is typically where our South Garden ceremonies do take place. And to give you a little bit of an idea as to where we are, if you remember us in the North Garden, go from Conservatory Plaza and you just head south toward that arrow. That's where we're going with the South Garden. And if you remember me talking about that circle area to the south of the arbor, that Orientation Plaza is that circle area there. You look to the east, you'll see the entrance pavilion. And that is over where the main children's garden entrance is, over off of the Bogue Street parking lot. And then if you look to the far left, you'll see the restrooms there attached to the food toxicology building. And if you see the Master Gardener Idea Garden, that is where the main entrance is to your South Garden ceremony spot. There's a farm lane entrance to the parking lot over there behind food toxicology that your guests can park in. If you park by the one with the children's garden lot, that is metered, and the other one on the other side off of farm lane is free to your guests. So we recommend using that one. Again, we do have the address to that lot for you after you've booked with us to put on your invitation. Lots of photo opportunities. You'll see these green blobs like P1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are all flower beds that they label, and there's a nice brick path that goes through them. Lots of photo opportunities and lots of processional walking options over here on the other side where Anniversary Plaza is. You can come from the back behind Orientation Plaza. You can come from over by the Master Gardener Idea area. There is so many different options. You can come from the back of the Rose Garden back there. Seriously, the sky is the limit, and that is a logistical thing that we can definitely talk about later on. Giving you another map view of the South Garden there. You'll see that block P there. That is the parking lot, food toxicology building, and people will enter the gardens there. You will see the other parking lot on the other side that comes off of Bogue Street. That is metered. And if you can see these train tracks here, yes, that is the train. If you went to MSU, if you happen to be alum, this train woke us up every night, it seems. But we don't have a schedule as to when it comes through, and sometimes it does during a ceremony. I cannot control it, but it is kind of a great opportunity for laughs, and it's a great memory. No one that's ever had it happen was super frustrated with it. It's just kind of a funny MSU moment that happens. It doesn't come through very frequently. You might get lucky and it might not come through at all during your time period, but there it is. You'll see a dotted line there. It takes you over to our arboretum. It's south of these gardens. It's a great place for pictures as well. And in a few years, it'll be opening up for our big 400-person weddings again. And if you remember seeing that circle, that orientation plaza, that's the divider between the north and south gardens, it faces the rose garden that's behind Anniversary Plaza. This is a picture of a beautiful bride sitting right by the rose garden there. Sometimes a lot of people do like to use that rose garden for their processional before they get to Anniversary Plaza. There are lots of options. Again, that's something we can talk about later on. But I just wanted to give you a small early season view of the rose garden there. And as we go ahead and head into the Anniversary Plaza area from the Orientation Plaza, the circle, as we head from the circle to where the normal ceremony site is, this is a view of some of the plotted plants that are normally there, and it gives you a slight view of that half moon. This is also, if you can see the sidewalk, a processional option there. As we continue into the south garden, you'll see the Anniversary Plaza, where the altar basically is, and these pillars over to the right that you walk through and down the aisle. If you can tell, they are using those white contour chairs. If you remember from earlier, those are our pretty standard option. And if we walk under those pillars and we're standing right in the middle of the aisle, you're looking right at your ceremony spot where the couple typically stands along with their bridal parties. You can see those potted plants on the ends of this half moon pergola here. Those cover up our electrical outlets that give power to the south gardens. You can set up some tents to the side if you want for any DJs or musicians, things like that, but there is electricity available to you and nice and hidden by some beautiful floral arrangements. And if we're standing at the altar, for lack of a better word, this is kind of what it looks like to be looking out at your guests and straight down the aisle. When it comes to decorating in the South Garden, we invite you to do whatever's clever. Any decorating typically should be done on the day of, since there's not really much shelter and protection from the elements. Any decoration that needs to be done, make sure you count that in with your rental time. I do want to let you know again that we give you that complimentary hour on the Friday before for either rehearsal or setup in terms of the North Garden. This is us standing under that half moon anniversary plaza where basically the altar is again. These are the hanging baskets that are typically back there. Again, we can't guarantee you what flowers will be there, but there are always hanging baskets behind you under that pergola. In this photo, the couple chose to have their musicians to the back, so behind their audience, behind their guests. We can run extension cords over there as well. The restrooms are right behind them to the right. We don't have a very clear picture of those to our portfolio at the moment. Heated in the cooler months, and they're very nice. Right attached to the food toxicology building. And if you can recall from our map earlier, this is the entrance pavilion near where the children's gardens are. Behind it, if you can see that black car back there, that is the parking lot that's off of Bogue Street that is metered. But some people do choose to do a ceremony in this circular entrance pavilion here. You can do a pretty large ceremony out here. Again, no parking unless you pay for it. You can still have some signs that point people this direction from the food toxicology parking lot that we give you. And this here is just another view of that entrance pavilion standing from the parking lot. And if you looked directly to the right from standing here, you would see those double doors, that double door entrance to the head house that we saw earlier. And that pretty much wraps up our virtual South Garden tour. We do have a rain backup option for the South Garden. It is our most updated lecture hall in the Plant and Soil Sciences building. And we do have a protocol to leading people there in the event of inclement weather. There are other tenting options and other logistical options that we can talk about when it comes to preparing for rain for a South Garden ceremony. We also do like to let you know that we also include some ready rooms, those classrooms, in the Plant and Soil Sciences building for you to get ready, store your stuff, things like that. We just like to give you a space, not just trap you outside. There is a 2-hour booking minimum for the South Garden. We can host up to 3 weddings per day depending on booking times, but it's kind of a first come, first served basis. We don't try to triple stack if it's too difficult. Typically, we don't have a triple stack day in the South Garden, but it's nothing that you'll have to worry about bumping into each other with. Again, we give you that 1-hour rehearsal time. For both gardens, we like to give you that time between 4 and 8 p.m. on Friday before the wedding. You can always add time on for the hourly charge, but we do give you that complimentary 1 hour. And that concludes your virtual tour of both spaces. Now we're going to talk a little bit of shop. What is your next step if you do decide that the Horticulture Gardens is where you would like to hold your special day? You can hold dates for 2 weeks free of charge while you are pending a decision. And once you're ready, you just let us know. We'll send you a contract and we'll ask you to fill it out as best you can. We can fill out those payment totals and confusing things like that. Even if there's something seemingly simple that you just can't figure out what that means, we are more than happy to help you. You'll go ahead and sign that via Acrobat or scan it and sign it and return it to us. Once we get it, we'll check it over, sign and file you in, and we'll send you a summary and a link for a secure online payment. That link is also found on our Horticulture Gardens website. Here is an example of a confirmation email that you would get from us after we have both signed the contract. We give you a copy of the signed contract as well as your receipt of payment if we have it. We do ask for $200 down for a damage deposit. 99.9% of the time you do get that back should there not be any damage to the property or our rental equipment. We also ask for 25% down on your hourly rental, so that is not including your equipment rentals. We do not expect you to know your RSVPs or head counts in order to have enough chairs for your guests, for example, at this time. We do follow up about 4 to 6 weeks before the wedding to cover anything like that. You can make payments at any time through our secure online payment system. Between booking and the day of, you can communicate with us as much or as little as you'd like to. We're happy to give you advice or consult you on any questions you may have. Most of the time, this is everyone's first wedding, so do not be shy. Ask as many questions as you'd like. We are happy to help you. Again, we do have a 4 to 6 week walkthrough. We'll kind of meet up with you to talk about who your vendors are, what your timeline looks like, and how our day of coordinator can help you out best. We'll keep each other informed as much as possible so we can effectively get your vendors in and you don't receive 1,000 phone calls that day like, where are we, and things like that. So we just want to help you have as smooth a process as possible. And that concludes our virtual tour, our very first virtual tour. This is so exciting. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that it's helpful. I look forward to speaking with you over the phone to answer any questions that you may have. Of course, you are more than welcome to send us an email or give us a call. If you need any other content, feel free to check out Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. The links are available in the email that you got this in or on our website. We'll make sure that those are available to you. If you still can't find the content that you're looking for, just reach out and let us know, and we'll try to provide you with the information that you're looking for. We're also on Wedding Wire and The Knot. Again, feel free to email and call us if you are having any troubles, if you're interested, yada, 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 whatever. We are here for you. Feel free to share this video and provide any feedback. We look forward to doing business with you.